And we are live.
Hmm. Welcome. We're now finally airing our Wicked series book
Yes,
club.
I know. We're a week behind.
Yeah, sorry. Life.
We had
But
life
we're
happen.
going to continue on the schedule as it was published last week. Just pushed everything back a week. So, like next week, we'll be doing part 2. Next week, we'll be doing part 3, just as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing should be confusing. Pretend last week didn't exist. Use the magic, Get it away. Here we are. Part 1. Welcome to the scandalous, obnoxious, thought-provoking, powerful, a little confusing, crazy nonsense that is this book.
Yeah.
But before we start going over the material that we read, because what we were going to do for everybody is part of like a book club thing. I've never been part of a book club, so I don't know how this works. So we're going to do it my way.
Don't feel bad. I haven't been part of a book club either.
So in our book club, maybe these are how they run in my head, or maybe they're not. I'll decide as we go along. Is we're going to go over in general talkish way as an open discussion. So feel free to join the discussion about what the material that we were assigned to read, and we're going to
is about
each week. It's about 60 pages, 60 to 100 pages of each of the sections, and it will cover certain sections of the book, and we'll talk about it. You're not going to get all the book here in this setting.
No.
This setting we are only doing, I think, if I read this ahead right, up to where the show and the movie end Act 1, or Part 1 movie. Act 1 show, Part 1 movie. They're going to cut at the same time. Defying Gravity. So we're going to read up to that point, and then we're going to pause, go into some of the theater stuff, go into the show, and then we'll get into the hype of the movie in November. And then after November 22nd, after everybody in the world has gobbled up all their turkey, after Glinda has cooked all the lumpia, we are going to then address back to the book again and decide if we're going to continue on with the second part of the book now, or we're going to wait till a little bit of hype into next year.
Being that the second part, they're making us wait a year.
We make you wait a year. I can do it. I think the reason why we're doing this is it is a test in, is their momentum going to work? Is normal everyday people like us, just idiots sitting around just deciding to do a book club about this hype going into this, is the hype really going to be real? Or are we going to be looking at this after November 22nd and going, I don't want to talk about that book anymore? And not on the edge of our seats worried about what's going to happen to Elphaba and Glinda, because the story's already been told. If you don't know the story of Wicked, not what you think you know from Wizard of Oz, and maybe not even how the book is or isn't, because I don't remember how this book goes. There's already some significant changes just to this first part. So we're gonna follow along the adventure together. I might be.
Remember, they were trying to make the musical more family friendly than the book.
Yes, and we're gonna get into that when we get into the history of the musical. But we are gonna touch a little bit on that tonight, because this whole reason to do this whole fiasco was to follow the hype. We wanted to get on the hype train. We want to toot our little horn and say, yes, we love Wicked. We love this story. We love this musical. Wizard of Oz, take it or leave it. But this particular story in it, it's infectious. Wicked is infectious. And so we are part of our own hype train about the anticipation for this movie, I think, in different ways. But I decided started first rolling this around in my head to do this because when I saw the list of the marketing teams that were going to be part of this campaign to advertise this first movie, I thought, my God, they're taking a musical, and once again, they're fucking it up by splitting it in two. I still am going to hold my ground fast. This is not going to work. But I'm not John Chu. No, nobody asked my opinion.
I know.
So
we're allowed to have opinions about it.
So after they hired Ariana Grande Broke it up in two. I thought, oh, we are on train for disaster. And then I saw the marketing list, and I thought, holy Jesus. No, no. Then the trailer came out, and I was like,
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
I was like, see, there go me judging the whole world before I even know what I'm judging. And I was like, all right, this shit look good. They got me on the hook. Have they sold me? No, but they got me on the hook. So here I go, following a fool's errand. And then the news after the first trailer about the marketing came out. And that's what got me thinking about. Let's talk about this mess live. Let's go back to our channel. Let's talk about this mess live. And really, we'll follow the whole hype train. We'll do the book. We'll do the play. We'll do the history of the play. We'll do it all. And is the hype real? Because not a lot of people are talking about this. Some people are. A lot of people are doing trailer watch alongs. We're going to be out of that. We are going the epitome of fandom. We are going rah rah pom poms for Elf Pink and Green. We're going to follow this whole campaign because the marketing list that came out was 30 pages long. This is Star Wars level marketing this thing's getting. And I was like, okay, this is going to be this is going to be in our face everywhere we go. It's worse than that. You may not be seeing every single t-shirt in every single corner of every single store that you walk in yet because that week hasn't happened. But the marketing that is being pre-ordered, because everything's pre-ordered these days.
Yeah.
What's being pre-ordered, I was shocked and alarmed because this film is being marketed to like 8-year-old little girls. And if you don't know what a market looks like for 8-year-old little girls, look at all the Barbie line that's coming out. The Barbie dolls, the little girls' costumes for Halloween. The little golden books. Y'all remember those little square golden books?
Oh,
the
yeah.
golden thing down the side with the little cartoon book. They're doing Wicked, the golden book series. Who reads those? 6 to 8-year-old little girls. Sticker albums, coloring books, jewelry boxes, little girl makeup kits, little girl hair kits, little girl costume kits. It's like,
yeah,
that's all fine and dandy until you hit this roadblock.
The book.
Because if you're following along with us, like we said a couple weeks ago, grab your book, grab a seat, grab some popcorn, let's go through this. This mess is far and above anything that a little 8-year-old little girl needs to be messing with.
Yeah.
And yet they are marketing this.
This is not a children's book.
They are marketing this. They are marketing this directly into the hands of 8-year-old little girls. Why? Because it's getting a movie tie-in. Meaning they're going to take this cover off and they're going to put Ariana Grande's face right on the cover with Cynthia Erivo's and say, Wicked, the movie, here it is. And I don't know about you, but let me tell you, the first 62 pages on our reading assignment was like,
oh, yeah.
You're a little kid that ain't watching this. And
they went, when you start reading the book, they don't mess around. You go right out of the gate with it all.
In the first 10 pages, we've got hermaphrodites. We've got infidelity. We've got wanting to murder a child. We have, hidden secrets. Then we have racism. And we have, xenophobia and homophobia. And it's like, this is like the first 10, 15 pages. And that's not to mention how these characters talk to each other throughout the thing. And it's like, so Universal Pictures, good on you. John Chu and the creative team behind this in Universal Pictures saying, let's make $1 billion and split this in two and get Harry Potter money and market this to every children in the world. Good on you. Throwing the movie poster on this and getting Jerry Maguire involved in this, you're a damn fool.
It's not Jerry Maguire, it's Gregory Maguire.
Oh, Jerry Maguire. I think that was a mistake on Universal Pictures' part. I think that if this movie was marketed to older teenagers and beyond, this book might be a very good discussion for 9th, 10th, 11th graders, going into this type of things post-puberty. These are post-pubescent topics that are going on here, not for 8-year-olds. And the reason why I'm so fired up about this is wait till you see the products that are coming out. They are not for girls. They're for little girls.
Yeah.
We're talking that 6 to 8-year-old range group that they're marketing this to. And it's a great campaign. I mean, look at the Lego sets. If you go on Lego.com now, you can pre-order the Wicked Lego sets. They are like for little girls. They're little kid sets. They're not even good, adult black box 18 plus sets. They're little girl sets.
Well, and we're not saying that the book is bad. Okay.
The movie. I mean, the movie should market the stage show, which is family friendly, which is great for little girls. It's throwing the damn cup movie poster onto this.
Yep.
If they were releasing the story of the movie or the story of the play to get everybody introduced to the music and the musical and everything, it's not this book. It could be inspired by this book with like one little title, Wicked, the musical, Wicked, the movie musical, based on lightly altered or
Inspired
based
by.
on from Wicked by Gregory Maguire. And
They could say it was inspired by the following book.
Yeah. You know, this was Gouda wrote this. Whoever. But it's like I'm still baffled by it. I'm still baffled by the whole thing. Like looking at, because I was like, wait a minute, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe that movie tie-in is just a little 100-page little thing that they do for like junior novels or whatever. And I was like, I think that's what it is. Let me go look at it.
No, they're just going to change the
It's this. And so we looked at the preview that's on Kindle. Go to the preview on Kindle. Hermaphrodite and infidelity and everything. I was like, parents, if your little girls this Halloween are so into this story, then mom, I want to read Wicked, and you grab Ariana's face off the. Be prepared. That's what we're here for. Be prepared.
Yep. Just be prepared.
Lion Kinging the shit out of this, because we're going to be prepared. Be prepared. We're not going back. Okay. So here we are. The next 4 weeks. Well, the next 3 weeks after this. We're going to get through the first part of this book. Act 1. Hype is real.
Yep.
And it takes us to like, I don't know, something. Past Emerald City. So how does this book open? So we're only going to do half of this for now. If you guys really, really want to see, if anybody's involved and really wants to, oh my God, I want to read the rest and talk to you about it. Because I don't know, maybe next week this blows up and there's people talking about it. Who knows? But we'll see.
Well, yeah,
our schedule right now is not.
You do read the book, obviously. Yes. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about this.
Correct. And I'm going to want to know what's going on too. But the thing is right now we are gone. The purpose for doing this is to join the hype train. And the hype train wants us to believe that Act 1, Part 1 of this story is going to sit for a year. And that's what we're here. This is a big old experiment. Can we join the hype train? Sure. Are we going to be on the hype train the whole time, shaking our pom-poms? I don't know. By December or by November, I may be so sick of this mess that I don't even want to hear forgiveness.
Yeah.
You know? Or like, my disappointment that we're not going to hear Cynthia sing No Good Deed this year is bothering the living hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Because the soundtrack is coming out the day the movie is released, by the way. That's its release date. Is November 22nd is the soundtrack. And void spoilers. Guess what? The musical's 20 years old, but spoilers wouldn't happen. But anyway, it's going to be Act 1. It will be movie 1 because the reason why they're doing that is because of the Emmys and the Oscars and all of that. They cannot market the songs of Part 2 until the movie of Part 2 comes out. So that soundtrack is going to be broken and the soundtrack will end at Defy Gravity. They're marketing the hell out of Defying Gravity, obviously. As a musical, I don't think so. They're marketing it as the trailer's background music. It's weird. Unless you know this musical, again, people are going to go into a movie musical and they're going to sit down and everybody's going to start singing and everybody's going to be like, what the fuck am I watching? Because this musical starts out singing right away. Good news.
However, we are here to talk about the book, not the musical.
Yeah, we have to talk about that last trailer. We got to talk about that last trailer eventually. But we're here to talk about the book. This next 4 weeks is about the book. We have not graduated to the musical portion of this. I just wanted to give a background of how we got here. Now we're here. Now we're stepping into the journey, and the journey begins with the front cover. A great, beautiful. If you want to get the edition of Wicked to get, besides the hardback, this is the edition to get.
Yeah, this is the one to get.
When I hold this in my hands, I feel I'm in the universe of the Wicked novel, and I'm not even thinking about the musical because of the beautiful artwork that's in here. It's a picture book, and it's got the gatefold. Y'all, I am a whore for keyholes. Back in the day when we were growing up, keyholes were a big trend. It was the cool thing to do. And Stephen King and V.C. Andrews were the two big ones that used to do keyholes for their books or double covers for their books. And I tell you, I was so into V.C. Andrews. If you don't know who V.C. Andrews is, look it up, because then you'll know everything about me. V.C. Andrews, Lace, all that kind of mess. That's me. Which one of you bitches is my mother? I couldn't read V.C. Andrews' book without having the keyhole. If the keyhole was already gone printed, I wouldn't read it. So thank God these in this day and age, because these are Dawn just bought hers, not
Yeah,
from Amazon.
it did.
So the keyhole is very, very much still being published and being printed. I don't know what edition you have, but it's
You can still get this one.
the keyholes are there. Yep. I don't even have the first edition. They have a new. You can still get this one, and you can still find copies of the other three in the series, like this with the keyholes. I don't think they're published anymore. The three that I need to get with follow up for this series, because they got a new box set out. And the new box set
you can find them, but I will tell you right now, the second book in the second book is right now god awful expensive.
Yeah, see, and I don't want to. I want this series. This series. I'm going to be really particular about it. But they got a new box set that just came out, and as again, kind of a tie into the movies, but the covers aren't anything movie related. They're these god awful covers. I mean, the books are black, and everything about the books are neon. And you can find the box set. It's getting ready to be released. Be released on the next month, I think, with the whole hype. But it's not a movie tie-in. This will have its own tie-in. It'll be this size right here, I think. That's Ariana and Cynthia's face on it, whatever. So, I wonder if Ariana said they even read this. I was like, you don't read this book. Don't put your face on there. Okay. Because again, the subject matters of this book that we're going to talk about, we're going to go along with Gregory and talk about. I'm not opposed to. I'm not a prude. I'm not. We're going to go into some of these topics. Just don't think they're hitting target audience. and the musical is not this. The musical is not. I mean, you want to talk about something that's based off of a similar story with the same character names and the same location names. That's what we're dealing with here, because this is a very different story.
The fact that this book is very politically motivated.
That's exactly what this is. This is a political satire. This is a way to hit home some very, very hard-hitting political social issues that are happening at this time when this book was written, which was, I believe, the 90s. Oh my God! I put up information. I don't even know. Don't believe anything I say. It's all a lie. It's all man behind the mask. No, if anybody knows when this book was published, feel free to. Oh wait, here we go. That's why they have this page, right?
It should tell you.
It should. 1993. Okay, 1993. This was published. So, the things that were going on in '93 are very poignant today, politically, socially, and this book is. I think Gregory Maguire is such a genius in the way he writes, because he's a hard hitter right from the start. I mean, in the first couple pages of this book, you're gonna get, okay, here we are. This is serious shit. You know, this is like, wow, okay. And then as it goes along, the first like 20 pages, you're like, ooh, what have I got myself into? And then by the time we're done with our first muscular chapter here, it's like, this is good, you know. And you're really getting to the characters. He's not so difficult to write that you're 300 pages in and still getting to know the characters. Well, I'm in it. I'm in this family now. You know, I'm Nestor Rose haven't even been born yet, and I'm in this family. You know, so how the book is presented. Keyhole, hi Elphie, on the front is there's a map of Oz in here. Now, I will admit, and I'm going to learn in this whole process, because I am going to read at least Wizard of Oz, maybe even a couple of the other children's books that Frank L. Baum wrote. I don't know if this map is the same that's in those books, but the map of Oz opens this book. And I think that's very poignant, because the book is divided up in the sections of where these people are in the land. And so just like Fellowship of the Rings, or you know, the Risen Wizard of Oz going down the Yellow Brick Road, we're going to follow our characters, I think, and get to know pretty much every county of Oz here that's presented, and how this politically, socially affects the people that live there. That's why I think this is written this way. It's almost like looking at the election now or something where you're looking at, different counties and how those counties have a different social impact of things that are going on in the world. Whether farming shortage all of a sudden causes distribution problems for the whole country, but it directly affects the people that work in the rural communities, and blah 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 blah. This is very socially politically charged. But we start out in Munchkinland. What else story starts out in Munchkinland? Oh, Wizard of Oz, same starting point, just almost like Lord of the Rings, same starting point as Hobbit. This is very, very Tolkien. It starts out the same location, that familiar. Let's say the word familiar small starting point. Familiar starting point. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Well,
both of these authors, L. Frank Baum and now Gregory Maguire, but also Tolkien created a starting point for the hero's journey in a land of little people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not against little people. It's very interesting they chose smaller statured people to represent a land of our warm-hearted, friendly starting place until we learn the world is dark. That's interesting. I wonder. Well, one obviously was inspired by the other, but why that population? Are they trying to physically, symbolically say something about the smaller statured people of Munchkinland and of Hobbiton, or it's just a coincidence? I think not. Nothing's coincidence. Our first thinking point: why little people? No offense to little people. I don't even come at me, because that's not what I'm trying to say. I just think it's always a warm, welcoming. Here's the curtain before we're gonna pull it back. Area of town, it's always colorful. It's always full of life. Like think of that opening shot that Peter Jackson did when we first saw Hobbiton on the big screen. It was like revealing the curtain. There it is, this beautiful, lush Wizard of Oz. You get into Dorothy walks out of the house from the black and white. She walks out of the house into Munchkinland, and it's Technicolor for the first time in 1938, 39 or whatever. And you 39. See the Velvet Road, and you see all these beautiful flowers and everything. It's always this massively welcoming environment of these towns. And then it's populated mostly by little people. And then you go out, and they're the last good things that send you off into the world. And in this case, we go into this. If you've not seen the musical, we're not going to spoil the musical, but we are going to talk about it as we go through this story. And the musical starts out very similar to how this starts out. The musical is going to starts out with the death of the Wicked Witch. Now, if I just spoil something, you are crazy, because we all know how the Wizard of Oz plays out. And if you have not seen the Wizard of Oz, turn this off. Go watch the Wizard of Oz. You have to have that foundation, and come back, because I'm not going to walk anybody through the Wizard of Oz. It is one of the most staple things of our lifetime.
Yep.
The Wizard of Oz. You look at those four, even the Wicked Witch, they say, what is that? Oh, that's the Wizard of Oz. Any kid in America will tell you, oh, that's the Wizard of Oz. If they're losing sight of that, then they need to re-release Wizard of Oz somehow. Anyway, the reason I say that is we're talking about Wizard of Oz as if everybody knows what we're talking about, because everybody should know what we're talking about. Either Wizard of Oz,
the prologue of the book talks about the Yellow Brick Road.
Yes. So the prologue of the book is very similar how the musical opens up with no one mourns the wicked is the opening song. No one mourns the wicked. Similar vein here. It's current stuff that's happening that now we got to go into the backstory. It's a flashback. And we're going to go into the backstory. We're going to get the story and move forward. That's what we're getting here. We're getting that kind of semblance of a flashback. It starts out with not quite her death, but it starts out moments before, I believe, if I remember right. Is a very opening part of this. It's kind of like things are getting ready to go down, and then we start to tell her backstory, I believe. So it starts out in Munchkinland. That's our first chapter, our first segment, whatever you want to call it. Our first county, and
our first section, yes.
So, regardless of how this little flashback leads into it, just that's how it starts. Is current little something or other. There's Dorothy's in this first part, I think. Yes, 10 women pulled. Yeah. So we're with the big four here at the end of Wizard of Oz, in the prologue, and at the end of Wizard of Oz, they talk about getting ready to kill the witch or whatever. They got to go find her. It looks to me, if I'm remembering this right, Oz just sent the Four to go find the witch, and so we're at that climax of Wizard of Oz. Then we go to our backstory, and the backstory starts out with one of the most confusing tools that has ever been used by an author that's powerful, that is lost. This has been lost in translation, I think, and that is, in much of it, is the time clock dragon, the clock of the time dragon. Clock of the time it is. This thing that opens up this whole world of where we're going into Gregory Maguire's Oz is significant. This is like, we're going to do this story without the Wicked Witch.
Yeah.
This is a main character. And how does the Broadway show honor this? Is when you walk in any production of Wicked around the world, anytime it's officially staged, you're going to see the very first thing that you see when you walk into that theater is the Time Clock Dragon, because it governs the entire stage, the proscenium of the entire stage. There's the Time Clock Dragon just looming over the entirety of what's getting ready to transpire on the stage, and the musical starts with the Time Clock Dragon moving and the wings flapping and fire breathing out, the monkeys controlling the thing.
It's the clock of the time dragon.
The clock of the time dragon. Why is the clock? Why is the dragon? Why? I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to know yet. Maybe I'll research it. But it's what it is this dragon that sits upon this clock, and the clock really is not a stationary thing. It's a puppet show that has a dragon sitting on top of it, and the dragon sitting on top of it is a mechanical dragon that these people are almost like gypsies are manning and with this, but the dragon has a life of its own. This mechanical dragon that any spectator will look at the dragon. I believe how I interpret it. You're looking at it. It's a prop for this big old circus moving clock that goes around these towns, right? And everybody fears it. You're like, well, how does people fear a little sideshow? It's like, wait a minute, this is vaudevillian. No, this thing predicts things, and this thing calls people on their shit. And this is when the story opens up. We learn what the hell we're dealing with, because first thing is we have our main character, Fritz. Who the fuck is Fritz? I'll tell you. Fritz is going to be the man in
Fritz. It's Frex.
Frex. See, frickin' Frex. Frex. Him. It's Frex. Frex. Like tricks for kids. Frex. Frex. We'll call him Frex. Frex. He is going to be the father for now. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
He's the father now. He's the husband of the woman that gives birth to Elphaba and Nesta Rose. At the time. That's the easiest way to put it. Yes. He is the legal husband of this bitch, Melanie.
Milena is her name.
Milena. So he's kind of the father figure involved. Now, the book introduces a couple different guys that are in this father figure mix. Whereas in the show, there's one man that Melina has an affair with, drinks the elixir, has the baby, and it's Elphaba. And then we find out later who that man was at the end of the show. If you've seen me Wicked, you know. And it's this nicely little tied bow. And we know that bow has already not been created for this book, because threads on that nicely wrapped up in here's the big reveal of A, B, C, D is not happening. So I'm interested. It's been a long time since I read this. I'm interested in how these characters are going to transpire in this book, because I don't think it's going to be anything like in the show, because we already know a couple characters that are not what the show characters are trying to tell us. Fiero's not who the show tells us he is, but I'm not going to spoil that, because if you haven't seen Wicked, that is a spoiler of who Fiero is. But there's also this man that we're talking about now, Frex. He has a very significant role in Elphaba's life in other ways.
Yes.
But in the book right now, all we need to know, all we care to know is he is the husband of the woman who gives birth to our heroine. And she is our heroine. Yes, she is. Sorry. Elphaba. And she's already interesting as a little kid in this.
Oh.
She's incredibly interesting. So who's Frex? He is a preacher of some sort.
He is a preacher, yes.
This is where we get into what Gregory Maguire's Oz is like, because it's very like our own world, kind of just twisted on its head a little bit, because this man is responsible for going around giving preachings or what sermons to these more well-to-do towns, but it's to pass judgment. The story starts out letting us know that the morality of this story is very much kind of like a Christian conservative morality of America, where they believe in their organized religion. And we're not even talking about God at this point. We're talking about a set of laws and ideals that somebody thinks is laws and ideals of their land. And the way this book is they're pretty condemning of anybody that doesn't follow along with their set fear-mongering rules, laws and rules. And this clock dragon is responsible for calling people out on their shit. Hey, that dude over there, he slept with this chick over here. That's infidelity. Everybody go beat the frick out of him.
Yeah.
And they go beat him up. The town
go attack this person.
Yes. And it's like,
and it's not a matter of attacking, it's a matter you must go kill this person.
Yeah. So people are fleeing for their safety. I was blown away at the beginning, because we'll talk about the clock. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Frex, he's like the morality preacher, to where he's got a strong set of beliefs in his head about his little organized religion, and he goes around as the preacher man, just this like Sunday church does with sermons and stuff here. He's trying to remind people who they are, remind people, I'm here as your priest, as your father, as whatever. But it is written in the book to be a political position. So it's like a political preacher, because they're using politics in this story as a foundation of this religion. It's the rules and the regulations and their laws, I think. That's how I'm interpreting it anyway. It's very, very structured around this community's set of ideas of who people should be. And the reason why that's important for a political satire like this is that it mirrors our own world a lot. And we're going to start dealing with things like homophobia, xenophobia, racism, women, women's rights. Women should be barefoot and pregnant, in the kitchen, and that's okay, and that's expected in this land. And
well, obviously we're dealing with skin color and all kinds of things.
Yeah, and it's beautifully written and incredibly in your face. Like when it gets to stuff about the conversion therapy, I'm like, oh my god, that's conversion therapy. Holy shit. It starts to make you think about who we are as a world, where we've come from in the last 2024 years, that has led us to this point. And you start thinking about these things. Are we still a racist country? Yes, we are. Are we still suppressing women? Yes, we are. Are we still suppressing gay people? Yes, we are. And we've been taught for 2024 years in this country that is, in some circles, absolutely widely accessible. That is a way of thinking, a way of life. And I love reading such great characters that's so poignant that is not okay. Because when you read it as an outsider, you're going, God, that's not okay. That's ugly. And you're starting to see a reflection in our own mirrors. We all have our prejudices. We all have some things, but our society is this society, and so it's very timely for this movie to come out now, for this. So back to Frex. Frex is a preacher man. Melina.
It's Melina, yeah.
Melina's the mother, and this bitch.
She's a high society.
She's person. A hoity-toity little snooty little. If she doesn't want it to go down, she's gonna piss and moan and just cry. And here's my little crumpets and don't bother me. And she is so cruel to Elphaba when Elphaba was born. Just like, and the things that she says to that child or says about that child in front of that child's face is crazy. But more importantly, in the beginning part of this beginning part of this book, we're gonna hear the story of her infidelity. That, as Nanny put it, we'll get to Nanny in a minute. She's a slut.
No.
She is.
To say the least, yeah.
She's not faithful to Frex, and granted, she's married
Frex
to him.
is,
So in this,
yeah,
this
Frex
world,
isn't.
huh?
Frex is traveling around the lands, preaching and
Frex
doing
is
his
not easy
job.
to get along with either. Frex is kind of a little, somebody too. But she's lonely without him. But she's using, she's turning to all the temptations of everything except for what this society deems to be right for her, because the society very much so is a marriage bed, a marriage bond, you love thy husband kind of world,
Yeah,
in society, and she's breaking all that because we learned early on, and they never specifically say outright, but you get the impression that the first affair that she has with Elphaba's father is kind of the first go around that she kind of had. No, she had one beforehand. They tell us, they give us her first one, and then this mysterious guy comes. Okay, so those are our two main characters that we're starting out with. Is this husband and wife, who, and really the husband. We start out with the time clock dragon because the husband is going to preach to this county, for lack of better words, and the time clock dragon arrives, and the clock of the time dragon starts going to the audience. And we find out about this other couple that mean nothing to the story, but another couple, infidelity, had a little girl in the process, and clock dragon pointing them out in the crowd, and the crowd beat the fuck out of this guy. So Frex is there present during this, and he's like, "What is this thing? Oh my god! What am I just watching? What did I just see?" And so he starts speaking out against the clock dragon, and he says, "Well, I don't know about you, but that's a little extreme. Whatever. However, he's putting it." And the clock dragon goes after him, and he fears his life, and thus we get into Melena's story because his wife, as he's away preaching, away from his wife's bedside, he's out there working because
she's literally about to give birth.
Yes, she's in labor. That's when the time clock dragon hunting Frex happens during her labor, and her and the midwives, because they have a group of midwives there. They're funny as shit too. The group of midwives there that getting ready to give birth to Elphaba, they're catty old women. They remind me of Macbeth's three witches.
Yeah.
Here's an eyeball, and I'll see now, and oh no, I'm right, and that's what they remind me of.
Well, that, and they actually say in the book, why don't we kill it?
Yeah,
she's never gonna know.
Yeah, well, that's one of the first, like, besides the infidelity of this couple that get beat up, that's like, woo, we're going there, like, right off the bat, because there's no dancing around this. These women, they say it right to the mother, and the mother's present in the room. She's passed out or whatever. But she's like,
well, yeah,
the baby looks like it's a monster. Just kill it. You can't have that. It's an abomination. Just kill it. And I'm like,
well, yeah, because she's got razor sharp teeth and all this stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk about the baby in a minute, because that's a whole different ball game too. But these people are it's their way of thinking. It's a very structured mentality that you are wrong if you are not in that. You're immoral if you're not in that mindset, and that's the world we live in. We live in the morality of the world we live in, and so. But this is just pretty. McGuire writes it to show you how wrong a lot of this is. So she's giving birth. They rescue these midwives rescue Frex from his bullshit, while this woman's getting ready to die in childbirth. It's a very extreme labor that she's having. She passes out in the whole 9 yards, and the midwives are like, "Oh, just shut up. She'll pass out in a minute, and we can get on with our work," which is funny. So she passes out. The baby's born. Now, who's the baby? This they show a piece of in the musical, in a more Disney-esque way, but the baby is. Now you can talk about it. So when she's born, go ahead, Don. How she looked at all and all that.
All right. So the baby is green.
Yeah, you're green.
She's green or emerald. In the book, they say she's emerald.
And emerald and rubies and silver play a big role in this already. So you start to see where all that came from. She's green and
what? She's
green. They say that she has teeth.
Yeah, she has very, very sharp teeth, because one of the midwives gave her a finger to suck on, and she bit it off.
But the first most poignant thing is that she Elphaba, the baby comes out. It's a boy. And so midwife says, "No, it's not. It's a girl.
It's not. It's a girl."
And they said, "No." Then other midwife says, "Look at there's the root right there." They call it the root. There's his penis right there. There's a root right there. Elphaba's hermaphrodite. She is a hermaphrodite.
Yeah.
You're in. Just it is what it is. She has a vagina. She has a penis. She has.
And they say it flat out.
Yeah. And what's very interesting is they almost choose for her to be female. The midwives push it into a female baby, even though she has penis, and they give me no indication that they remove the penis or anything. So our little girl Elphaba, she's a hermaphrodite. She's got both sexes, and that's important in this world for many different reasons. Number one was this baby was born to this woman, to this preacher, and they had a choice of it being a male or female, and it was instantly suppressed into a female, suppressing the female in this. It was an abomination. It was a monster. Therefore, it cannot be a boy. This thing is fucked up. This woman messed up. She had a green baby with teeth and two genders. It's not a boy. It can't be a boy. Mm-hmm. It's just as much a boy as it is a girl. She's got both sexual organs. And so I find that fascinating that's one of our society things that McGuire's showing us, that if it's anything less than it is woman, then it is female. Mm-hmm. So they deem her female. She's born. And here we are on this journey now with this family, because it kind of skips forward a little bit. Frex didn't die from the time clock, and they got away, and you know that we just were introduced to that with that kind of scenario. So now Elphaba's like, how old when this kind of kicks off? Well, she's still a baby for the first time.
Well, she's still a baby. Are we going into Turtle Heart now?
Yeah. We got Nanny first. We got Nanny first before Turtle Heart comes, don't we?
No, Turtle Heart shows up before Nanny does.
Before her first visit? Okay, so if it's Turtle Heart first, then Turtle Heart comes into town. Here comes Doug Briggs. No, I call him Doug Briggs. It's Turtle Heart is his name, and he's like a vacuum salesman of the 1920s, you know, our 40s. When did they do that? Post-war. Anyway, he's a vagabond, and he goes around selling glass.
Yeah, he's a glass blower.
Glass blower in the chapter, and they kind of show, and see this is. Okay, in the musical, in the movie, The Wizard of Oz, Oz comes from Kansas on a hot air balloon, lands in this mysterious town, and he takes up in their black and white real life versions. Oz is a Mr. Turtle Heart. It's exactly what he is. He goes around towns. I forget what he's selling in the movie. But he's a salesman, just like this.
Yeah, he's a salesman.
Yeah, he's a car salesman that used slimy like car salesman that's trying to convince people things that they see behind the curtain or whatever. This is who this Turtle Heart is, and he's very charming, and he's got broken English because he's from Gilligan. Was Gilligan?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he speaks a different dialect and very Yoda-esque kind of speaking, and he charms the hell out of
Maleficent.
Melena charms the hell out of her, and they have an affair. See, he is the second affair because she gets the elixir from the first affair.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. First affair is before she's pregnant, before the story started taking place, because she's already pregnant when the story opens, she has her affair, which I was led to believe that was her first affair. It may not have been.
Yeah.
But it was a significant affair because it knocked her off her socks. This other guy, I don't even remember who he is. This other guy is where the elixir is introduced into the story.
It came in a green bottle.
Before she got pregnant, they were out drinking, partying, doing whatever. Or whatever. I don't remember where they were at. In the bedroom. Who cares?
No, he was the guy with the elixir. He was actually he was the salesman.
Yeah,
this was an elixir, and she drank it, and that's where the green came from.
Yeah, that's right. Wait, did they have an affair?
Probably, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's not mentioned.
It's
implied.
Yeah. So it's not. Whereas Turtle Heart is an affair. She falls in love.
Yeah.
Turtle Heart. The way she describes Turtle Heart to the readers is she says that Turtle Heart allowed her to be free, allowed
Mm-hmm.
her with no fear, no inhibitions. That she was almost like a drug. That he showed her not necessarily the good or bad side, but it's kind of like the more out there side of her, and
Yeah.
it's something that Frex has suppressed her entire life, which is crazy because it's like the story of my life. I was in a suppressed marriage, and, and then away from that, you kind of feel free, and that's what she's feeling. So I have a little bit of empathy with her, compassion, because she's talking about this, that she has to get out of this marriage that's just terrible for her, but in this society, it's not really possible for like Munchkinlanders or people from Gillikin or whatever, just to say, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go about my own way. Because then she's a harlot, she's a prostitute, whatever. And it's not good for her. She's not going to be able to support
A lot of people call them free spirits and all
the
of
free
that
spirits,
stuff.
yeah. Mm-hmm. And the elder women of this society, they're very much pushing these younger girls right back into this type of suppression. Because we meet Nanny in this time frame, because the baby is hard to deal with. So here goes Trent Molina screwing around with Turtle, and they're on a full-fledged affair. Now Frex comes home from the war, no, from Celso, and he's like, he's like, okay, hey dude, how are you?
Oh yeah, they all accept. They all
They're
accept it.
all living
No big
together
deal.
in this weird little love triangle, kind of all living together. I'm like, all right, here we go. We got sister wives going on. Nanny comes into the picture. Here comes Nanny. She's my favorite character so far. Nanny's the shit, man. Nanny is an elder. Nanny is. It says that she's her grandmother, but I don't think so.
That's that's how I interpreted it.
I'll have to look that up here really quick. Nanny is where she comes from. She is Frex's childhood nanny.
Right.
She's his wet nurse or whatever they called it back then.
Right.
It's a wet nurse or whatever, and it's a tight bond between somebody that's not blood related to him that basically becomes family, becomes his grandmother. So if it's really by birth her grandmother, which I don't know, I'm gonna look it up. Then that's how they are united with this woman. She's a matriarch of this family that is of Frex's family, at least, is not blood related, but is so ingrained in his family since he was born.
Right.
So she's a big, powerful voice in what goes on with this couple. And the first voice that she says is, "You guys are happily married to stay together, and that's it. No questions." And then she starts. We know through her eyes, she tells us everything we're thinking. Like, I know what's going on. You know what's going on. She's like, I don't know what's going on.
But I know how you are. I understand who you are.
And she beats around the bush with them, and then just gets outright direct and tells us, the readers, yes, what you were thinking is right. Because she goes to Frex and says, you need to get her under control. There's nothing wrong with that baby. That baby's charming. We got a lot of work to do with that baby. You're off doing gallivanting around, and she's over here with this dude. And the baby's suffering. You need to get your family in line. She goes to him to tell him to get family in line. And then she turns to the mother and says, so what happened? And the way this part of the story plays out is so good in a sense that this is where we learned the bluntness of Nanny. She's like, so if this baby's green and y'all hate it, y'all want to kill it, and she's murdering monsters, and all I see is this innocent, beautiful little child. How did this baby happen? There's no green on Flex's side. There's nothing that would look like. What did you do? I'll tell you what you did. You screwing around with these men, aren't you? I mean, she's blunt. And so the gig is up. Now, Nanny tells Maleficent,
Helena,
that I know your story. So if you don't fall in line and do what we need to do that's best for this little girl, I'm going to expose your story, and that will leave you on the streets with nothing. So all I have to do is whisper a couple words into Frex's ear. Because Frex is naive at this point. He's choosing to be blind to this happening to his family because he chooses it. It's very obvious, extremely obvious. Even he's charmed by Turtle Heart. Even he's by Turtle Heart. Turtle Heart's charming. He's the salesman. He's the greasy slime ball. That's coming there, but he's not evil in any way. I don't read him as a villain.
No.
in any way. He's very. I question. I'm like, dude, what are you doing there? You know, go about your own business till this family gets their shit together. But if she needs to be with him, she needs to be. But that's just me. But I don't hate him. I don't see him as a villain anyway. I see him as an opportunist that is kind of really screwing with his family in a way. But I think he generally likes her, and he actually generally is okay with Elphaba, right?
Well, yeah, because Elphaba really likes him.
Yeah, she bonds with him, and so they come up with a plan. It was a few years progressed. She's supposed to be how old now? She's
yeah.
She's not speaking yet.
No, because she doesn't start speaking until
toward the end. It's significant that we're
toward the end of the first part that we're reading.
Yeah, so she's little, 1 or 2 years old. I forget how much time has passed.
She's like a year and a half.
And Nanny and him are talking about, we got to do something for this kid. These parents are terrible. You know, the mother won't have anything to do with the kid. She thinks that it's abomination. She thinks that it's her infidelity screaming at the world. Meanwhile, she goes to bed with this guy every night. Hello. And she's really cruel. The mother's really cruel in a sense of she just looks at the child as this object. This thing that, why can't we just get rid of this? You know,
yeah,
is in the way. It's showing all my bad sides of me out. Just kill it. I mean, there's no compassion for it. And I was like, oh Lord. But Elphaba acts out and things like that. And we start to learn, besides just her color and her fangs and her penis and vagina, we find out that she is powerful in a sense that she's not quite right. There's still something going on with this kid. You know, she's a little Matilda. Things are happening when things are happening. You know, she's kind of making. You get the sense she's kind of making these things happen, but they don't quite. Nobody's like scared.
Nobody knows why.
Yeah, and so you just know they treat her like a freak. You know, basically, the parents do. Whereas Nanny treats it like, well, this child is like acting out because you guys treat her like shit. And we need to do something for her.
The fact that she doesn't have children around her, so she doesn't know how to act.
Yeah, so Nanny says, here's the problem. She don't need to be following you. She don't need to be learning from you. She needs to be learning from children her own age. Children that act normally, that get to play, that get to be friends and have, you know, normal society. That's where this child needs to be. And they're like, you expect me to be the known parent of a green hermaphrodite with fangs, send this child to school, and I'm going to be the laughingstock of this town? No way. And that's what she says. Bitch, come here. I know your story. The whole world's going to know your story if you don't follow along. You have screwed this child's life up. You have caused more pain in this child by your actions than what we need to do right for this child, and I'm taking over now. We're going to do what's right for this child. And they do. And they send her to school, and school's hard for her.
It's not a school. It's just a place.
Yeah, where the kids gather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they want to introduce her to that type of behavior before she goes to school. Because when she gets to be school age, because she's not school age yet, when she gets to be school age, they want to make sure that she's acclimated to where she can function in a school. And Shits is already introduced at this point. Because Nanny meets somebody that works at Shits or something or other. And
well, yeah, she kind of like does a daycare kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah. So this woman is introduced to the school that Elphaba and Glinda will eventually go to in Nesta Rose. So she has a hard time with these children. She doesn't give up though. This is right when you start to get some really, really good feels of who the character core of our Elphaba in this story really is she knows she's an outsider. She knows she's different. She's been taught her entire life that you're nothing but a freak. You're an outsider. Blah, blah, blah. So she approaches these situations as the outsider. She's scared. She wants to play. She wants to be involved, but she's going at it with walls up. And there's some, you know, there's some teasing and bullying from the other kids. She stands her ground, and that's where you get this first core value of Elphaba is this chick's not going to tolerate anything. She will, if she believes in something, she'll stand her ground. Because her first test in society was in front of these bullying kids, and I think that's what we're seeing in the trailer. With she's a little bit older, but we're seeing that core character trait of Elphaba. standing her ground and not allowing herself to be bullied. Like Glinda says in the trailer in the show, right? Pharaoh turns to her and says, she's not even aware that she's the freak. And Glinda said, yes, she is. She's very much aware. She just doesn't want us to know that she's aware. In the lyrics of what they're saying. Yeah. And we get this right away with this character. So this is a core value of this character that's written from early conceptions of her life. She is going to be a fighter, and she's going to fight with what she believes in. And in a hero's journey, that's a central character trait for the hero. So we're starting to be giving character traits right away to this monstrous little kid that we all know from growing up as the Wicked Witch of the West is actually our hero. This is our hero's journey, the Wicked Witch of the West. And in this book, in the play, in the music, yes, she is the hero. She is our lead, our lead protagonist. And it's now we're going to get into this very, very interesting story. Well, how does our lead protagonist become what we know of as the Wicked Witch of the West? Because what we know of is not necessarily what's going to be, because or what's really her truth. And as you've seen the musical, you know it's not her truth. And that's just, this is a story about how community is going to form and shape a single child into this masterful of evil that's going to affect the rest of the world. And how did they get there? And this is what we're going to find out. And so I thought it was really interesting. If you were reading this novel before the musical came out, or before you knew anything of the story, if you're a good literary person, you knew her hero's journey, you would instantly know that this little monstrous little girl is going to be our hero, because it's very ingrained that she has the hero traits. So here we are. She goes. They acclimate her to other kids and say, okay, well, she's going to be okay to be school age when she goes to school. And they still don't want to send her to school, but it's not a stipulation she's going to go to school. And then the bitch disappears.
Yeah.
Everybody's still together. She goes missing.
It's like she runs away or something.
Like, out of the blue. Just out of the blue. Poof, she's gone. And I'm like, oh, we're going here now. It was like, there wasn't really a big lead in to why. It's like, story's going on. You learn more about these adults. These adults are kind of doing their little love triangle thing. And all of a sudden, Elphaba's gone.
Well, that's because all the adults have not been paying attention to this child.
Correct. That was the point. That was the literary bombshell that you're like, wait a minute. I didn't even know where the child was. Nobody knew where this child was because nobody's watching it. And so she's got Elphaba takes off. She gone. She's like, see ya. And then no, she talks first, right? Yes.
Well, yeah, because
we haven't found her yet. Yeah. So
yeah.
But what she says her first words as there's a gathering. There's all our central characters are there. I forget what the fuck they're doing. They're camping. I don't know.
Oh no, this is at their actual house. Okay, they had all just had dinner and
yeah, they're all there. All of our central players are there.
Frex wants to move. Milena doesn't want to move.
And this is where we get our big introduction.
Milena pops off and says, "No, we can't move because I'm pregnant," and blah blah blah.
Because the way they introduced us to Oz and to the history of Oz and to the land and who's running Oz and all this stuff is very in a conversation like this with a group of people around, people asking questions. Well, where'd you come from? I come from here. Oh, I've never been out of Mexican land. Tell me about this place. And they go through it really quick. And they tell you about all the central counties. And they tell you about Oz. Emerald City's in the middle, just like kind of like Washington, D.C. It's Emerald City. And it's run by Ozma, who is the third generation of Ozmas that carry the name that is the ruler of Oz. We find out in this political time of Elphaba's birth, Ozma is a little kid. That she is the daughter of the previous Ozma, and it's run by a regent, meaning somebody else is running Emerald City, running Oz, that is not the king or queen or whatever. And who's the regent? I don't think it matters. Maybe it will. I don't know. There's a regent.
Yeah, they don't really say. They say that there is one. They just don't really talk about it yet.
Like the House of the Dragon right now. There's a regent, which is Aegon's brother, is running the country, but he is not king. He is king on behalf, regent on behalf of the king, because Aegon's still alive. But this is we have a queen or whatever, Empress Ozma, but she's a little kid. She can't make these decisions for Oz. So, but it is anticipated that as she grows and as she's taught and as she's learned, the regent will groom her into the position of leadership that she's birthright into. So now we find out that this is kind of a birthright kind of land where one person of one family is wholly high power and passed down the generations. And this regent situation, just like in any history of regents running a world, look what's happening on House of Dragon, or there's been real life so much, that causes political upset. That causes real instability of the lands. And you start to hear that even based on the thought process of in these conversations at dinner or whatever. They're saying, well, I don't know about this, and I feel differently about this, and blah, blah, blah. And if Emerald City can't do this, it's very politically charged of these people, the citizens of Oz are upset. And the citizens of Oz are using this regent situation to say, let me question this and call this out. Because we don't have our great, powerful Ozma running right now. So who is running this place? Why is this? Who is that? And that's what we learn about Oz. And they tell us, okay, well, the Munchkin people are this. The Gillikin people are this. And the important take of this is Munchkin land, for our story right now, Munchkin land is middle class at best, I would say. They're kind of the thought process of middle class. They're kind of like, let's sweep everything under the rug. We'll follow the rules, but we really don't like it, but we're going to go along because we're all right. We're okay here. Do we like it necessarily? No, but we're not hurting like the Gillikins. Donkey Breast over here comes along, and he's Gillikin. And now we learn that Gillikin is the ghetto of Oz, basically, and I think there's gonna be a lot of uprising, a lot of stuff come from Gillikin. But Gillikin is poor man's town, and it's hard on people. And basically, he is run out of Gillikin because he stands up to this way of life over there. That he's like, he doesn't want to be poor, doesn't want to be mistrodden, doesn't want to be down and out, and so they drive him out of town. They're like,
well, yeah, he was on his way trying to find Oz when he showed up at Melena's gate.
He says that he was on for a better self-discovery, and the people of his town, people of his county, are basically saying, well, why do you get to be that? Oh, you're holier than get out. You're not Gillikin anymore. And so we know that culture. And then we know Oz is mysterious, which is Oz is unreachable to these people. These people view Oz as stories that have been passed down and rumors that are in the town, and nobody's been there. Nobody knows what's really going on. Hence why Oz, the Wizard of Oz, who is a man from Kansas, who comes in on a hot air balloon, that's why he is able to come in and manipulate these people. Because these people have been, Ozma and her grandiosity of family has always been put on high and is untouchable and unreachable. And it becomes just a storybook, or it becomes just rumor, gossip about who this royal family is, or who the mysterious Ozma really is. Because they call her by the same name of all these different generations. There's Ozma, and the woman's mother was Ozma, and there's Ozma, but beforehand, because it's just an idea. It's an idea of who is our God, who is our leader. We don't know. We've never seen her. And then they start talking about rumors of seeing her. Oh, I saw her once. And like all of these gossip and rumors and stuff, to show that she really is untouchable. This Ozma really is, And so they're setting up the stage for Oz to come in and take over, an outsider looking at this whole land. And what I find so fascinating about Oz now that Maguire has given us the background of these people and who they are and what they stand for, you can look at your own society, and I say this all the time when I get frustrated with politics. Doesn't anybody else see what's going on? And that's what Oz did when he went in there. He's like looking at this and he's like, this shit's crazy. These people are crazy, and they don't see themselves. They don't hear themselves. I can use this to my advantage, and he does. And as we know from Wizards of Oz and everything, that this man is able to use that manipulation and take over the world or whatever. And here we are with Oz. That man is already in our story according to the play. So I'll go ahead and spoil that at this point. The mysterious man who gives her the elixir in the musical is
Yes.
Oz.
Right. In the musical, yes.
His mother had an affair with the salesman that gave her the elixir, and he is the father of Elphaba, and he is the Wizard of Oz. Now, we got different men in the mix in this already, and it's not clear if one of these guys is actually going to be Oz or not. And if the Oz comes into play in any of these man's stories, it may not. So this is going to be interesting to find. I'm not spoiled. It's been a long time.
However, my take on where we are right now in the book, okay, this is where we're going to circle back to where they're having the dinner, okay?
Yeah.
And Turtleheart and Frex are like bonding or whatever and talking around a fire, and they're supposed to be watching Elphaba, and Nanny and Malena are in the house, and then
she says horror.
She calls them once the men to bring Elphaba in so she can lay her down and all this stuff, and then they discover that she's gone.
But she spoke before then. She spoke before that.
Huh?
She spoke that evening before.
Yeah, she did.
For the first time.
She was looking through a piece of glass, like this
ruby
spherical thing that Turtleheart had made. And
Turtleheart makes stuff blue and glass out of rubies.
Yes.
And that's where the ruby colors kind of come into this whole story. This whole stuff is all his glasses are like ruby tinted and rubies. Elphaba was looking through one of his ruby plated glasses, and she says horrors. Yes. And you know what it reminded me of? When Reagan comes down at that party, she pisses on the floor. That's how this kind of reminded me of. She's burst out horror. Everybody, whoo, what'd she say? You know?
Yeah, but it wasn't horror, it was horrors.
Horrors, yeah. Plural. And everybody starts talking about what that meant to them. Why did she say that? Oh, she said it because of this. She said it because of that. She said so. Then she goes missing. Yeah, we're right.
Well, because she's looking for something. She's looking for what.
Well, no, I was saying you can continue on because I was like,
she's looking for something because she sees something through the glass, and she goes off and explores. And this is where we find out that Malena is pregnant.
Because they want to move. He wants to move to Gilligan to preach down there, to improve those people's lives. And she says,
Malena doesn't want. And Malena doesn't want to go anywhere.
Well, and first they call her out for like being bougie. Like, what do you mean you can handle it down there? These people need us. I'm pregnant. It's one of them bombshell drops, and Nessa Rose.
Yeah, so she's pregnant, and we know that is Nessa Rose because Nanny apparently went and talked to some very important people, and they said that that Malena was going to have another girl, and these girls are supposed to be very important, and so there was that.
They were going to do big things.
Mm-hmm,
good or bad, they said big things.
Yeah, and during all this time, they discovered that Elphaba has wandered off, and they all go and look for her, and they eventually find her in a swamp area, kind of, and
in a bush.
It's like in a bush because all you can see is her eyes, and the only thing that she says is horrors.
They're setting her up to be evil, mysterious, crazy, and but it's Turtle that says, "Wait a minute, I think I know what she's talking about." And how he knows this, I don't know. I forget what he says. He basically says she sees the Wizard of Oz coming, and the Wizard of Oz coming in a hot air balloon is the horrors that she's referring to. How he finds that out, I don't know. And
that's where we leave off.
Yep.
At the end of our first section of reading.
Yeah. So now that was that first part leading off his. He says she sees him coming. She sees him to come. He is to come from the air. He is arriving. A balloon from the sky, the color of the bubble of blood, Ruby Bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. They're kind of letting us
Yeah.
believe that it's him. Is gonna create horrors, and that's what she was referring to. That's what he thinks she was referring to. I don't know how he thought. It's weird. Anyway, so then we get it. So that was that.
That's the end of what we what. That's the end of the reading assignment.
Yeah,
basically.
and that was of the book. That was our Munchkinland. So we have now covered our first county, and we're going to leave Munchkinland because they are going to go to Gillikin.
Yep, that's going to be the next section that we read.
So obviously, Shitz has got something. The school's got something to play in this because I bet you we're going to jump forward. I would imagine we're going to time jump into school age with Nessa Rose already being alive, and yeah, we are because the very first chapter of Gillikin is Glinda. So we're school age here now, and we're going to go to school. We're going to see.
Now we're going into school age.
Yeah, we're basically going to get introduced to our characters here. We're getting Act 1 right now. You know, it's going to go into that. But the majority of Act 1 takes place at the school, which is Gillikin. And we're going to get all of our Gillikin history from them being at school. And if you look at the map, you can kind of see the travel process that we're going to take. Because instead of like Wizard of Oz, they're going to go around. They're going to go around and hit Oz in the middle. Whereas they hit Oz at the end of Wizard of Oz. We're going to Munchkinland, Gillikin, and then the City of Emeralds. Right in the middle. And that's Defy Gravity, by the way. That is Defy Gravity. So, familiar to the story that I'm very, very familiar with, yes. But I say they're not the same story. I have not changed my mind after reading the first segment that this is not anywhere near a target that an 8-year-old needs to be reading. So the language is beautiful the way he writes. It's very it does have a floral to it. Once you catch that flow, and you catch that flow within the first page and a half. Once you catch the flow, you're in his world. You're in his way of speaking, and it's not hard to follow. Yeah, and it's actually a fun language or a fun way of his dialect, his how he puts words together to describe things. It's obviously not of this earth. It's of a foreign land, but you're very familiar with the foreign land by the time you start reading him. He's tackling some big issues. In his first 62 pages, we got homophobia, xenophobia, we got murders of children, we've got conversion therapy, we've got racism, infidelity,
adultery,
and it's all, none of it is hidden. It's all meant for you to pick it up. It's meant for you to start thinking about your own life because that's what this book's all about. It's a satire on a reflection of ourselves. And it's doing a damn good job of it. It's very poignant for today. So I'm on board. I'm enjoying the hell out of this. It's going to be interesting to get Glinda on board and start getting into this story. But I will, for this podcast, because we're going to be we're still going to be in this podcast by the time at the end of this month. That book is coming out. I'm getting one for Prosperity. And show you that it's the same book, and also show you some of the children's books that they're marketing this to. It's when I saw the golden books, I was just like, really? We're gonna have golden books on the bookshelf next to Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West. Are they gonna put that in the children's section with like Harry Potter? That's crazy to me. Somebody has missed the mark here.
Yes, and this is just the beginning of the book.
62 pages. Yeah, and we've already had all this kind of stuff happening. But aside from the marketing of the movie, now we really are in this, and we can enjoy this novel as this man wrote it, as this man anticipated for us to hear this story. Forget this other story for now. I'll make comparisons as we go along, but I'm behind the driver's seat of his story right now, this man's words, and we're honoring that. We're both very, very avid readers, so the book is going to be gospel for me. The book is going to be the story as it's meant to be, and everything else is an adaptation of this book. It's a good book. Go ahead.
We will be going over the next section next week.
I think we're breaking Gillikin in half.
And basically, all of the reading assignments are in the description below, and will be for the foreseeable future, so everybody can keep along with what we're doing. So
we're going to cover the book in 4 parts. However, those 4 parts play out is, keep watching. Subscribe to us or whatever. You'll get notifications of when the next part's coming out. But it should be on Thursdays, barring anything dramatic happening in our lives.
Right.
Like this last week. But so Thursdays, generally about this time, we will go over the next section. And we're doing 4 sections of it. We're covering it this month. And then, because next month we're going to get into the musical and the history of the musical. So, again, just to reiterate, if you're following along and you're really, really excited about this, we are not covering anything past the first act of this. From the musical coverage to the marketing coverage to everything's going to be about Act 1, because that's what the filmmakers want us to believe. So we're going to ride that momentum and see
because that's where they're planning on ending the first movie is
in Act 1. Yeah. So there's going to be a long intermission, folks. A year. We'll see.
Buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
I don't want to have early predictions. I don't think it's going to fare well for them anyway. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying this hype. I'm enjoying the story. I love these characters. I'm glad to revisit this book after all these years later. I'm finally revisiting this book because I knew you remember certain things of the book because it's so scandalous.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't remember the story. When I read this book, I had just seen Wicked. And of course, you go out of Wicked going, "Oh my God, Wicked is so good." Let me read.
Now I want to read the book.
You get the book and you read it, and you put it aside, going, "Oh, have you read the book based on the musical? Oh my God, that's just crazy." And then it becomes a story. But now that we're reading it and we're really into this hype, I'm really enjoying what he wrote, and I will be reading his whole series after this because I think it deserves that. So there you go.
So on that note,
feeling?
We will see you hopefully next week. Please come back.
Yeah, if you join us, grab a book, join us. You don't even have to read it. We'll tell you what's going on. But if
make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the notifications when we come back.
If you are reading with us, join us. Feel free to comment to share your ideas. Maybe I'm spouting out some. I will never tell you garbage just because I'm making it up. So if I'm getting something wrong, let us know. Comment, whatever. We can talk about. I love talking about this because it's not so cut and dry. It's not so A equals B equals C. There's things to talk about as he writes, and so that's what we're talking about. Grab a book. Let's talk along. Any people from Wicked out there? Join us.
Yeah,
that'd be fun. Where's that Oz Historians couple? Come on our show. We'll come on your show. What's his face? It used to be Fiero. They have a YouTube show. Bring him on. Jason.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, everybody. We will see you next week.
Because I'm defying gravity.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.